Milestones and PERT chart. This chart gives the viewer a quick and easy look at the major milestones that our group made during the creation and completion of our project. It also shows when the group split to conquer different tasks and when we worked all together to complete a particular task. For this project, having a plan of what needed to get done was important to the overall completion of the project. Reaching and completing certain milestones was key and crucial to get to our goals and plans on time. Splitting up to meet goals within a time frame was also important to the reaching of milestones. Without the times when we split up, we would not have gotten as much work done on the project as we ended up getting done. Even though we are going to pass the torch to another group for another semester, we feel we reached our goals that we set at the beginning of the semester in our project proposal.
Firebase is the database we use to hold all the dog adopter information for the app. The information includes the dog's name, breed, health, status, and more. And the adopter information includes username and password, name, and the contact information. Some benefits to using Firebase are that it is a centralized, reliable storage for all data required for the app, and it's free under certain conditions. It also allows for quick importing of spreadsheets into the database. There are some drawbacks though, and they include that it is a central point of failure, which means that if it goes down, we lose all the data. Depending on popularity, it might not be able to remain free, and the spreadsheets have to be formatted very specifically to be imported to Firebase. A big benefit, though, is that within a minute, a spreadsheet that looks like this can be imported directly into the database. The purpose of user testing is to make sure that the program does not have any errors before it's released. It does not mean that the users of the app after it is released are the testers. User testing includes trying out all the program's functions to make sure that they work, and it also includes creating dummy data that is likely to cause errors. Errors can include things such as missing data, incorrect data, broken links, program crashes, and display errors. If any errors are found, they have to be reported to the developers. Finding all errors before release is unrealistic though, and the job of user testing is never really complete. There will almost always be some errors that slip through. After release, user testing is responsible for finding out why and how any user-reported errors are happening. Work hours. Assuming 1 hour of work is equal to $10, each member would need to contribute 10 hours of work to meet the $100 per person goal. The goal for the group was 70 hours of work in total. Our group surpassed our goal for time contribution by 62%, and we met our goal for hours worked on April 14th.
We had to stray away from our original plan to help with any IT needs that any of the organizations may need. Unfortunately, they didn't need any help, so we decided to create our adoption app for Wishbone. This was the only major plan change we needed to make. Other small changes included things like meeting dates, shifting work to different people, and other non-crucial changes.
I want to talk about project difficulty. The main difficulty of projects were scope, different scales, so level of members, and time. Our goal had our fair share the difficulty in the setback. Our first idea ended up failing through and caused us to lose time and focus on create another original idea for work and team goals. Application development and choosing the right development software and to use our major decision for us. We decide to use Android platform since we are knowledge with their sentence. The project difficult to stop. The project was original to something that could complete in a weekend or two. This failed to take into account our groups in the experienced personnel working in development. Therefore, the project scope end up to taking the target budget for initial aspect. Project difficulty skill level. The biggest difficulty of projects was that skilled members has equal experience with programming. Area of projects, the complexity of requirements, programming, come show understanding. This goals come group never number and be used as support role instead of development roles. We had a little time to accomplish our project because we was kind of finding the better way to do that. That's a solution if more sensor level IT students working for project start working on development for early in semester. That's where we go.
Regarding our first idea, which was pet Tinder, um, we believe that our task and relationship outcomes were not accomplished. Um, as I've discussed with you before, Professor, there was a huge gap in the experience that was needed for an application of this scale. And on top of that, the dedicated resources that we needed in order to make the application possible are out of reach because of our lack of knowledge. So we morphed our mission and we instead wanted to make an application for Wishbone that was usable on a practical scale, which is practically a condensed version of their website. Regarding our task and relationship outcomes for this, we believe that we've accomplished some of it, but it hasn't met full fruition. The biggest concern was that the application only displayed static content that's available offline because retrieving online resources was a concept that I felt was too complicated to implement with our group's assets. And even though that was not possible, we were able to implement the concepts that we had with our static application. And I believe that we outlined where things would be going relatively well. And we think that this is enough for another group to comprehend, and they should be able to take our concept and develop the Wishbone application even further.
Even though we were not able to 100% complete the project, we still got a great start in an app that some of us did not have much experience on. Next time, what we would do differently is stricter deadlines for parts of the project and assignments, and more people working on the app than on other parts of the final project.
Brainstorming is a group creativity technique by which efforts are made to find a conclusion for a specific problem by gathering a list of ideas spontaneously contributed by its members. During our first few meetings, we did a lot of brainstorming together. Our first idea was to help out one of the organizations with any IT needs they may have, but unfortunately this plan didn't work out. We then had to start thinking of new ideas that would achieve our goal of doing something IT-based for an organization. Some of our other ideas consisted of assisting with the Illinois State University Birdwatch to ensure that students made it home safely on busy nights, or to help build a house for Habitat for Humanity. These ideas sadly didn't work out for us. The second course concept that we decided to implement is the emergent leadership style. Emergent leaders are ones who are not voted in or assigned to the position of leader. Over a period of time, they come to be seen as the leader of their group in the eyes of its members due to their actions. They are often more respected and more followed by the group than members who are assigned to that position. The leader of our group was Michael. He is a perfect example of an emergent leader. When we first made our group, we all had different formal roles with no assigned leader. Michael was originally assigned to be our liaison, but eventually became our leader through his actions. Our group's first 2 weeks were pretty slow in terms of progress. This is when Michael really stepped up and started to organize the group and its actions. He divided us up into task groups to work on the application and even groups to finalize our final project. It was through these actions that Michael emerged as the team leader. The third course concept we implemented was role flexibility. Role flexibility is when a member of the group is willing and able to take on more than just one single role. In our group, every member had their first assigned formal role, such as historian, recorder, and so on. In addition to those roles, each member also took on a development role as well. This required each member to be flexible and fulfill the duties of multiple roles at the same time. This slide shows our different roles that we had for the development of the application as well as the roles we were assigned for the project. Decision-making process. So when we first were trying to decide on a project, we had a different variation of a brainstorming technique. It went something like this. Someone would initiate an idea. Members would give their idea one at a time in a circular pattern around our table. If the idea got mostly positive feedback, it would be placed on a list of possible project options. If the idea gets mostly negative feedback, it was discarded. We repeated this until no new ideas were being initiated, and then after idea generation had ceased, the group would vote on which idea from the list of possible ideas to implement. This initial decision-making process was pretty effective for us on getting us to decide what type of a project to do. It was effective because it allowed all members to give their ideas and opinions on possible projects, and it also worked well because all of the ideas we generated were similar since we were all computer science majors and wanted to do a project with a technological aspect. So post initial project idea decision making, after our initial task of deciding what to do for our project, our decisions became smaller and less involved. This allowed a new, simpler decision-making process to form within our group. If there was a decision that needed to be made, it would be brought up at a meeting or discussed in the group chat. We would then come to the next meeting with one idea from each of us, and we would vote on the best idea. This saved time on less crucial decisions, such as our application's name or its color scheme, and allowed us not to have to collectively discuss these decisions.
Okay, Professor, regarding the future endeavors of this application, once again, we really appreciate the patience and understanding that you have with us and this application because it is a lot easier said than done. It's probably been one of the most challenging experiences that I've ever done within my IT career at Illinois State, but I still love every minute of it because it is a great learning experience. Regarding the actual application and its future, we want to hand it off to a group of IT folk who have a lot more experience than us. I've talked to you recently about who we'd be handing this off to, and I want to take this to the IT 391 course, which is the directed project in computer science. The professor's name who is in charge of it is Dr. Tibor Gieres, and his email is listed right over here. He'll be able to designate a group and make sure that this application continues expansion. Regarding the things that we want this application to perform, we do actually want it to pull dynamic content and actually use stuff that you can find off the internet using the backend data services because we're not as knowledgeable with it. We also want to implement the Tinderish style of dog viewing functionality just so we can implement our original vision of a Tinder-based dog matching app. We also wanted to create a separate version of this application for iOS because it was only made in Android Studio. And we would also like to integrate user testing sample data that could be used to break the application. One of the most important concepts I've learned within my IT career at Illinois State is making sure that you throw enough sample cases that can break the application to the point where you understand whether it's flaws and that you can fix them. And can break the application to the point where you understand whether it's flaws and that you can fix them.
Our original idea was to help out Wishbone, Boys and Girls Club, and Home Sweet Home with any IT needs that they may have. Unfortunately, they declined our service for the time being. After that, we developed the idea for Wishbone's Dog Finder app. We proposed the idea to Wishbone and they were very excited to see where it would take them. We began development using the backend data from Wishbone's website. Once we had partial use of the app, we held a live demo for them and showed them what we had put together. Unfortunately, parts of the app were not completely finished, but
they like the general idea and design so far. For the rest of the semester, we worked on the app as much as possible and decided that we were going to hand it over to IT 391 and they were going to complete the app and get it running smoothly and working in order for Wishbone.
Okay, so this is our app, Wishbone Canine Rescue, or WBCR for short. Right here we've got our home page. We've got our dog of the week. It's still a work in progress, but basically every week we'll feature a new dog in need of a home. We've got our microchip lookup from AAHA. Wishbone requested we add that in. Basically just type in the ID number and hit search, and it will look up the microchip. Next up, we've got the browse dogs. We didn't get a chance to actually fully implement this, but this is an example of what the page will eventually look like when it gets passed along to the next group. Basically just shows your basic info about the dog, how old they are, the breed, the size, and then you can click on the picture to view more information, more photos of that dog. And here, what we wanted to do is integrate a Facebook calendar so that we can just pull events straight from the Facebook page. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to implement that. None of us are really experienced with the Facebook SDK. And here we've got a page where basically you can fill out this form and it'll generate an email that sends to Wishbone, and it basically just gives them an idea of who to contact when they need volunteers. Here you can enter in, if you don't have time to volunteer and just want to donate, just enter in the amount and it will take you to their PayPal page. And we've got the Contact Us page where basically it's just a map, address, contact information for Wishbone. The idea is eventually to integrate where you can just tap on the map and it'll take you to a static location where Wishbone is located straight through Google Maps. And then we've got the About Us page where we basically just took the About Us information from Wishbone's website and added it onto the website or onto the app